Only 2% of people do this. What if I told you that 98% of people are sleepwalking through life, breathing, working, surviving, but not really living? Sounds extreme? Maybe. But look closer. Most people are stuck in routines they didn't choose, chasing goals they don't believe in, taking advice from people going nowhere fast. And the worst part? They think that's just how life is supposed to be. Safe, predictable, dead inside, but comfortable on the outside. But there's a silent minority, a rare 2%, who choose a different path. They don't follow the herd. They question everything. They create their lives instead of reacting to them. These are the thinkers, the builders, the ones who refuse to settle for a life half-lived. And the truth is, anyone can join them, but almost no one does. Why? Because it demands something radical, thinking for yourself. In this video, I'm going to take you on a journey, a deep, honest look at what separates that rare 2% from the masses. You'll discover how to break free from mental slavery, escape the comfort zone trap, and finally step into a life of clarity, direction, and powerful purpose. But be warned, once you hear these truths, you can't unhear them. And once your mind opens, the old way of living will never satisfy you again. Life is not a practice run. Most people tiptoe through life like they're afraid of waking it up. Scared to fall, scared to fail, scared to truly live. They walk around acting like there's a reset button, as if tomorrow will be the real thing and today's just a warm-up. But let me tell you something. This is it. This moment, this breath, it's the only guarantee you've got. And time doesn't ask for permission. It just moves on, with or without you. Living with purpose isn't some cheesy self-help slogan. It's survival of the soul. It's what separates those who exist from those who truly live. You see, the person who wakes up without a reason to rise becomes a prisoner of routine, held captive by habits they didn't choose and influenced by voices they never questioned. And the most dangerous part? It feels comfortable. But don't confuse comfort with safety. The comfort zone is a padded cell where dreams go to die. Here's something real you can do. Grab a notebook and write down 3 things you'd start doing if you found out you only had 6 months to live. Be honest. If somewhere on that list you write, start living with more purpose, then take it seriously. Your heart is trying to shake you awake. But once you wake up, there's something else to be aware of. Because the next threat doesn't come from inside. It comes from the voices you listen to. Be careful who you listen to. Advice is cheap. Everybody has something to say. But here's the truth most won't tell you. If you follow advice from someone who isn't living the life you want, you'll end up exactly where they are. And believe me, most people are just walking in circles, repeating what they've heard, not what they've tested. You wouldn't take sailing lessons from someone who's never left the shore, would you? Then why take financial advice from someone buried in debt, or life advice from someone who's given up on their own? The problem is, we don't stop to ask the right questions. We assume that if someone speaks confidently, they must know what they're talking about. But confidence without results is just noise. Before you let someone plant a seed in your mind, look at their garden. Are they producing fruit or just throwing around opinions like confetti? What you absorb today shapes your subconscious tomorrow, and once it settles in, it starts running the show. So you've got to be ruthless with what you allow in. Here's something practical. Audit your circle. Write down the names of the 5 people you speak to the most, and next to each name, write the word result. What result are they producing in life? Growth? Confusion? Stagnation? Because whether you realize it or not, they're influencing your decisions, your direction, and ultimately, your destiny. The wrong voice at the wrong time can derail a dream, but the right voice can ignite it. And how do you know if it's the right voice? Well, that starts by asking better questions. Evaluate ideas based on outcomes. People love to debate whether something is right or wrong. But let me challenge you to throw that question out. It's a trap. The real question, the only one that matters, is this. Will this idea move me closer to my goal or further away from it? That one shift in thinking can change your entire life. Because sometimes, what's right for others is completely wrong for you. And what's safe might just be what's slowly killing your potential. Most of the ideas you hear floating around aren't rooted in vision. They're rooted in fear, tradition, or comfort. And if you're not careful, you'll start building your life on borrowed beliefs. Here's the truth. Every idea is a seed. If you plant it in your subconscious, it will grow, whether it's productive or poisonous. So ask yourself, what am I feeding my mind today? And more importantly, where is this idea trying to take me? Because every thought is leading you somewhere. Let's put this into action. The next time someone gives you advice, don't just nod. Ask yourself, where would this belief lead me in 5 years? For example, if someone says, be realistic, don't aim too high. Play it out. 5 years from now, are you closer to your dream or still stuck in the same place, just more bitter? If the answer doesn't scream progress, ditch it. Your mind is too valuable to rent out to dead-end thinking. But here's the catch. Even if you recognize a bad idea, it takes strength to reject it. Reject misaligned suggestions. You don't have to accept every idea just because it was handed to you politely. You're not a sponge. You're not a robot. You have the power, the right, to mentally reject anything that doesn't align with your vision. And listen, you'll need to do that often. Because the world is full of people projecting their limitations onto you. Not out of malice, but out of habit. They gave up on their own dreams long ago, and now they've become missionaries of mediocrity. But you're awake. You're starting to see how every suggestion carries direction, either toward your purpose or away from it. That's why developing discernment is non-negotiable. When someone tells you what you should do, pause and ask, is this idea in alignment with the life I'm building? If not, toss it out like expired food. Just because it came from a friend, a family member, or even someone you respect, doesn't mean it belongs in your system. Respect the person. Reject the suggestion. Here's a practical move. Each time you get advice that doesn't sit right with you, don't just brush it off. Replace it. Replace it with a thought that supports your direction. For instance, if someone tells you, that dream is too big, you replace it with, my vision is valid, and my results will speak for me. This is how you consciously originate new beliefs. And when those beliefs are repeated, they start sinking deeper, right into the place where all action begins. The power of the subconscious. Here's something most people never understand. Your subconscious is always listening, and it never argues. It doesn't weigh options or ask for clarification. Once an idea gets in, it starts building a life around it. That's why you can't afford to casually entertain thoughts that go against your purpose. The subconscious is like rich soil. It doesn't care what seed you plant. Positive or negative, bold or fearful, it will grow whatever you feed it consistently. People try to change their lives by changing what they do, but true transformation starts by changing what they believe. And belief is programmed through repetition, emotion, and imagery. That's why affirmations work. That's why visualization works. Because they speak directly to the part of your mind that controls 95% of your behavior. You're not just acting out of willpower, you're acting out of programming. And the question is, who wrote your script? Try this. Take one belief that's been limiting you. Something like, I'm not good with money, or I'm not a people person. Now flip it. Write the opposite. Say it every morning and night, with emotion, while visualizing it being true. That's not wishful thinking. That's rewiring your internal system. It may feel silly at first, but remember, the subconscious doesn't care if it's true. It only responds to repetition. And once it accepts the idea, it sets the wheels in motion. But here's the twist. Most people never even realize how ideas get in there. Mindless behavior example. Let me paint a picture for you. Imagine you're in a room with a speaker on stage. He raises his hand and tells everyone, put your hand on your chin. Without thinking, you mimic him, but you place it on your cheek. Why? Because he did. That simple act reveals a powerful truth. Most people don't think, they just follow. Not out of stupidity, but out of habit. They trust the action more than the instruction, the gesture more than the message. This is the kind of behavior that runs deep in our culture. We follow trends, opinions, social norms, often without stopping to ask, does this even make sense for me? It's unconscious imitation. Monkey see, monkey do. And the scariest part? We do it with big decisions too. Careers, relationships, beliefs about money, success, and what's realistic. These aren't just actions. They're unconscious agreements. Silent contracts we sign without reading the fine print. So here's a challenge. Start catching yourself in the act. Next time you feel the urge to agree with someone, follow a crowd, or repeat what you've heard, pause. Ask, is this mine or am I copying it? Start replacing mindless reaction with conscious awareness. Because you can't lead a meaningful life on autopilot. And if you're not careful, Those small unconscious choices stack up, and they end up choosing your future for you. Which brings us to something even more dangerous: the people who plant those choices in your mind. Be selective with influence. Imagine this. You're looking to build wealth, so you turn to someone for advice, but they're broke. Or maybe you want to improve your health, and the person guiding you can't walk up a flight of stairs without losing breath. Sounds absurd, right? Yet people do this every single day because we're taught to respect authority, not results. But let me remind you, you are not obligated to listen to anyone whose life isn't producing the kind of outcomes you want. Influence is permission-based, and you decide who gets access. It's not about judging others harshly. It's about guarding your future. Influence is subtle. Sometimes it comes from someone you love, someone with good intentions, but with limited thinking. That's the most dangerous kind. You let their doubts in because you trust their heart. But a good heart doesn't guarantee good direction. Be wise. If someone hasn't walked the path you're aiming for, why on earth would you let them guide your steps? They might mean well, but they could still be leading you straight into a ditch. Here's something useful you can do today. Identify one area of your life you want to improve: money, relationships, purpose, whatever it is, and find someone who's already thriving in that area. Read their books, watch their interviews, study their behavior. Let their mindset begin to shape yours. Because influence is a two-way door. It can either water your vision or poison it. And most people, they don't even know they're drinking poison. That's why, in truth, very few people actually think. Most people don't think. Let's be blunt, thinking is rare. I'm not talking about worrying, reacting, or replaying the same thoughts on loop. I mean deep, intentional, critical thought. The kind that questions assumptions, challenges inherited beliefs, and creates new possibilities. Dr. McFarland once said it best. 2% of people think, 3% think they think, and 95% would rather die than think. Harsh. Maybe. But look around. Most people live by habit, not by design. You see it everywhere. People wake up, scroll their phones, go to jobs they hate, come home, complain about life, and repeat the cycle for decades. Not because they're lazy, but because they've been conditioned, programmed to believe that this is just how life is. They inherited ideas, routines, fears, never once stopping to ask, do I even believe this? Is this the life I truly want? And so they live in a trance, walking, talking, reacting, but never really thinking. If you want to break that pattern, start small. Take 15 minutes each day, no phone, no noise, and just think. Ask yourself real questions. What do I truly want? Why haven't I gone after it yet? What belief is holding me back? This simple act puts you in the 2%. It shifts you from being a follower of circumstance to a leader of your life. Because once you start thinking for yourself, you stop living the life handed to you and start building the one you were born for. And here's what's wild. Only 2% of people ever do this. A wake-up call for the 2%. Now that you've seen the difference, the line that separates the few who think from the many who follow, you've got a choice to make. Are you going to go back to autopilot, letting old habits and other people's opinions run your life? Or are you ready to step into the 2%? Those who live on purpose, with clarity, and with conscious direction? Because let me ask you something. How many thoughts did you accept today without questioning? How many decisions did you make based on comfort instead of conviction? What are you really aiming for? And are your daily actions even pointed in that direction? This isn't about motivation, it's about mental liberty. You can't lead your life while thinking like a follower. If this message stirred something in you, act on it. Don't let it fade into the noise of the next video or the next scroll. Hit that subscribe button, turn on notifications, and join this movement of thinkers, builders, and creators. Here, we don't settle. We don't sleepwalk. We decide, we create, and we become. So, are you in?